Okay, so this is a spoiler review of In the Lost Lands. I'm going to give you the whole story. I'm going to tell you everything about the movie. Everything there is. So, if you'd like to see this movie in the future, if you're determined to watch it and you haven't yet watched it, off you trot. Switch off now, go away. Go and watch your movie. Come back afterwards and see if our opinions line up. I'll give you a few seconds, go on, off you trot. Piss off. George R.R. Martin got away with an awful lot of shit. He was pretty much forgiven for the last bits of Game of Thrones because he hadn't written what was meant to be there, and so despite the fact that really failure to complete your job is on you, he scraped by and let the showrunners take most of that flack. But In the Lost Lands brings him to the level not of Stephen King or J.R.R. Tolkien, but into the realms of Garth Marenghi. As movies go, it's a bit thin on the ground. One part Mad Max, Fury Road, a little bit of Sin City, a few bits and pieces from Game of Thrones that you'll recognise, but in the end, what it loses in originality, it gains in what the fuck is this? I don't mention the cast in this review very much. Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista, however you want to pronounce it, are really the only people who appear on screen for any real length of time, and so they've got to take responsibility for it. Mila Jovovich is simply playing the same or similar role to what she did in the Resident Evil franchise, and there's a fair amount of the Resident Evil franchise in this, and the director having a certain name, Paul W.S. here, is lacking in any kind of directorial vision, and the acting is cardboard and the scripting is mediocre and the plot holes are, well, so enormous you could fall down them in a cable car, which at one point they actually do. You have to make a film that has at least some entertainment value, and although as a mindless action movie you can sort of get away with it, for the kind of money they want you to spend to go to a cinema, this isn't it. Everything is happenstance. Mila Jovovich plays a witch who can enchant men with her eyes, unless of course they're wearing sunglasses, in which case it's a no-go. She can enchant anything that can see. She can make them imagine all sorts of special effects that they can put on by green screen afterwards. So everything looks shabby and scrappy. The storyline is, well, George R.R. Martin's doing. She lives in a city which is one of the only cities left after a massive apocalypse. We're considered here that it's a nuclear war. And she is asked by somebody who she can't refuse, because she never refuses anybody, to go out and find a werewolf so that she can take the werewolf power from it and give it to the Queen. She's then asked by the Queen's personal attendant, guard, lover, whatever you want to call them, to fail to do so, despite the fact that she's already promised to do so. And she can't refuse him either, even though this would be mutually exclusive to her purpose, but never mind, she'll find a way around it in the end. She then goes out and hires our friend Dave, looking as WWE and cowboy as he's ever done, to guide her in the Lost Lands, where she has been before but doesn't remember the way. And they have various adventures while being chased by a number of religious fanatics who don't like witches getting their own way because Jesus, wow. And really, that's a good way of summing up this movie. Jesus. I mean, you spent money on this. The bit players who play some of the other roles, I understand as having been an actor at certain points. I understand you've got to take what you get given, any chance to get a payment so that you can meet the rent, eat for a few months, get something on a show reel that you can show to agents and other people who might hire you. I understand all that, but Mila Jovovich and Dave Bautista have got enough fucking money to avoid this. I mean, seriously. A kung fu fighting, blade wielding witch and a gun fighting, well, a gun fighting werewolf. As I've said, this is a spoiler review, so anytime you want to look away, it's a bit late now. Because it seems that the reason Mila Jovovich's witch decides to hire Dave Bautista is because she's already seen in a vision that in fact he's the werewolf that she's hunting for. And despite the fact that he has 150,000 times when he could easily have killed her, she's going to wait until he's a werewolf to do it. He tries to get her to turn back. He tries to get her to give up, but of course she's not allowed to, because that would cut short this magnificent film. So instead they reach the end of their journey, having killed all of the religious types and managed to avoid some of the pitfalls of the Lost Lands. And Mila Jovovich has already used tricks that will mean that she beats the werewolf. He wants to join forces and ride across the lands doing shit. She says that she would really like that, but she's made a deal with him and she'll try to keep it, but she has to make the deal with the other people fit. So she skins him alive and buries him. But she's a sharp little witch, and even though she's cut the well flesh from his body and takes it back to the queen, she tells her that she only has the final night of the full moon to put her blood on it so that she can take its power. Meanwhile, of course, the witch returning has meant a revolution, and the mighty order of the Overlord is being overthrown, and she never manages to get the blood on the pelt. So the pelt dissolves in the daylight, and the particles of that pelt find their way back to the grave and make Dave Bautista come back to life. There's then a little laughable face-off between the two, and then they decide to join together as they were going to do in the first place. So what is the movie actually about? It's about 100 minutes long, and that's it. George R.R. Martin is a clown who virtually couldn't write in the first place, and now, having given up on the winds of winter and told his fans, "Leave it, we've all had a drink," is taking some of his old stories and turning them into pap like this. If you had a star rating, and I think you might, this wouldn't get a 1-star rating for any of it. The effects are poor green screen crap, and the acting is for the most part quite wooden and bog standard, even at the most important times. It lacks humour and emotion, it lacks any driving story. It doesn't really do the job of a movie. I mean, if you have an hour and 40 minutes to kill and you want something that is so utterly mindless that your brain doesn't have to come out of first gear, it'll fill an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, there are a lot of films out there that fall into that same trap. But if you're looking for something that makes you think of Game of Thrones and George R.R. Martin's writing at its best, or Dave Bautista's acting at its best, and he's given a number of good performances, then avoid this, because it'll just make you feel less about all of them. As I said, I don't even like to mention many of the people involved. George R.R. Martin wrote this crap and deserves all of the plaudits. And Dave Bautista and Mila Jovovich should just know better. And a paycheck is a paycheck, I understand, but they're making enough money now to not have to do this. Summing up, try something else.